today's show.
The Nuggets and Warriors get set to battle for the #1 seed. And will the Celtics or Pacers host Game 1 of their inevitable first-round series?
Should Zion join Team USA this summer? Smart move for Wiz to fire Ernie Grunfeld? And which NY team is more appealing?
And we count down our top 5 foreign-born/foreign-grown NBA rookies.
It's Tuesday, April 2nd. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, we got Tass Mellis, we got the Aussie Lee Ellis, and over yonder, that's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey yo!
Hey yo! Trey, what's up?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, LeBron James's Lakers season might be over, but he's not done playing basketball this year, as The Athletic's Joe Varden reported that LeBron will have a full-length basketball court built on the set of Space Jam 2 so that LeBron can stay in shape over the summer. Now, this is obviously the same thing Michael Jordan did during the original Space Jam filming. It was a baller move back then, it's a baller new move now, and it brings us to today's question. What is your favorite extravagant NBA purchase? There have been so many, but one of my favorites has got to be when Danny Granger tried to build a bat cave underneath his house. At one point, he had a moat and he did have car risers. I don't know if he finished it, but that's bat cave enough for me, and we want to hear from you. So let us know on Twitter what's your favorite extravagant NBA purchase. Send them to us at #TheStarters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get your tweets in. On tonight's show, we're going to discuss the Wizards firing GM Ernie Grunfeld earlier this afternoon. We got a fun top 5 list for you. We got a very solid play. But let's start tonight with a little what you got. Everybody knows how this works by now. Trey's got the answers, and we're going to debate it anyway. TK, take it away.
All right, the Warriors and Nuggets have been battling for the West's #1 seed all year, and with just the game separating the two, tonight's matchup in Oakland will go a long ways toward determining home court out west. Golden State has won 2 of the first 3 games between the teams. So guys, tell me, who gets the #1 seed? Is it the Warriors or the Nuggets? What you got?
Everything points Warriors. And that's why I'm a little worried they might lay a dud tonight against the Denver Nuggets.
Really?
It's because usually when their back is up against the wall, 3.5 weeks ago, they destroyed the Nuggets when they had something to prove against Denver. Denver was coming at them. Now, Denver's struggling a little bit. Golden State might go into this one and say, hey, we're a game up. Might not come up with their best effort in this one. Might be tied up after this one. But everything points Golden State to this point because they are rolling, far less than they were 3.5 weeks ago when they crushed the Nuggets.
Yeah, the Denver Nuggets, though, have earned the respect of the Golden State Warriors this season because of that early season victory. And Golden State did want to send a message after that. And I think it's going to continue again tonight because the Warriors know that they want home court advantage, possibly through not just the Western Conference, but possibly through the NBA Finals. So they have to win every game really from here to do that. And it's more about that sort of dominance and that message that the Warriors send is, hey, if you want to beat us, you're going to have to come into our building and do it because that's the sort of obstacle you have to overcome if you want to make it to the NBA Finals. The Warriors have been here before. They know they can win without home court advantage, but I think it also just sort of flexes their muscles a little bit if they do lock it up. And especially for the Nuggets, they now go into the playoffs with expectation and saying, hey, you want to be the #2 seed. Every team's coming at you. Everyone's trying to make you see if they can knock you off, for example, and send you down. And that's what the Warriors have been able to survive the last 4 or 5 years. Now the Nuggets go in knowing that they're the sort of team going in with expectations and have to live up to it.
Yeah, I think it's the Warriors, too. I think they're going to ultimately get the #1 seed here for a couple of reasons, right? One, this game is in the Bay tonight. And the Nuggets they're an average team on the road. They're 20-18. They're not the juggernaut that they are in Denver, so that comes into play. Then you look at the remaining schedule, not just this huge game tonight, which could decide it sort of ultimately, but it's a tougher road for the Nuggets. I mean, some road games, of course, in there. Both teams have them, but Denver's got to play the Spurs, Portland twice, the Jazz, and then maybe an easy one with Minnesota, but you compare that to the Warriors schedule, it's a lot more difficult. And then the other thing is, this surprised me a little bit. Steve Kerr, he mentioned about tonight's game how important it was to the Warriors. He said, quote, "We take care of business and win, and we're in great shape. There's more of a sense of urgency now." Steve Kerr talking about urgency here with his squad. So you're right. You never know with the Warriors what type of squad you're going to get from night to night, it feels like. But at least Steve Kerr's talking up a big game here like, hey, we're locking in a little bit as we gear up for a #1 seed and the playoffs. But we'll find out tonight.
I like for the Denver Nuggets that Nikola Jokic is being tested before his first playoffs as a #1 guy, before his first playoffs, period.
Right.
Everyone is testing him physically. emotionally, mentally out there on the basketball floor. They're really going after him. That bodes well for their playoff run, no matter what seed they get. 1, 2, they could drop to 3, with those tough road games, with Houston churning at them. That wouldn't be great going into the postseason, but I like the fact that, again, it feels like the playoffs right now for Nikola Jokic.
Do you think we'll see? I mean, we've seen Jokic get ejected last couple of times here over the last little stretch. Will Draymond Green or someone on the Warriors try and make it a third time in the last little bit here and try and get under his skin, hack him a little harder and see if he gets upset?
Yeah, to try to provoke him, because Mike Malone has said that Nikola Jokic needs to keep his composure. So if you're the Warriors, why not really try to test it out? Give him a few little harder fouls than he might normally experience and see how Jokic reacts. And in fact, Mike Malone probably would like to see that. To say, okay, now you are under pressure. Let's see how you do respond if you do get hacked and you don't get those whistles, because that's what's important. And also that comment you mentioned there with Steve Kerr, I think that sort of goes back to that loss to Minnesota, where he wants to sort of basically tell his guys, hey, look, we could lose these games, and they could cost us in the end. So you've got to be locked in now when the regular season is so close to ending. So I think, but overall, I think it is the Warriors. They really want to just push from here and make sure they have number one.
We find out tonight, TNT doubleheader. It's Lakers Thunder, and the second game is Nuggets Warriors.
I hope we're not talking about the referees tomorrow. I hope.
Yeah, you never know. Trey, what's the answer to this one, though? Who you got?
I'm going with the Warriors as well. The schedule favors them, and I'll think the one tonight, but I'm terrible at picking games, right? So don't bet on that. Anyways, we had 9 games last night, and nothing changed in the Eastern Conference. 6 through 10 seeds all lost, while the 4th-seeded Celtics beat the Heat in Boston, and the Pacers beat the Pistons in Indiana. Boston and Indiana are tied right now, and while Boston has a 2-1 lead head-to-head, the teams play again this Friday. Guys, who's getting home court? The Celtics or the Pacers? What you got?
Yeah, it's Boston. They're going to do it from here. I mean, the Pacers have been hanging on and they've been so resilient since Victor Oladipo went down. But last night's victory against the shorthanded Pistons was only their second in the last 9 games. They've actually not been playing all that well.
They stopped the bleeding with that win last night.
And
they had lost 3 straight runs.
It's more that the Celtics haven't been that dominant themselves over this stretch, why Boston isn't already sort of locked up in that number 4 seed. And I think now Boston realises they're in the driving seat. They do play Indiana one more time. I think they're going to make sure they lock up that number 4 seed, knowing they're going to have to play them again anyway in a series in a week's time. So I think it's Boston from here, but it's been incredible to see just how good overall Indiana has been since Oladipo went down.
I kind of want to go against my instincts like Trey was trying to do last month in the March pick and payoff with this pick here, because I and a lot of people have sort of just been watching the Celtics thinking, all right, they'll turn it on at some point. And the Pacers on the other side, well, they're going to fall apart at some point. And if you look back to their game last Friday in Boston, it came down to the final shot. Kyrie Irving making a great play. So if they go to Indiana on Friday as they do, why shouldn't the Pacers win it? I totally agree. They haven't been playing well. They're 2-7 in their last 9. But can't they just pull one out against this Boston team with only 4 games remaining? That Friday night game probably settles it as well.
Again, it was a big win for the Pacers last night because they had 3 sort of like stomach punch losses over the 3 games prior. They lost to OKC by 8. You said that Kyrie one that they lost to the Celtics sort of at the end there. And then they lost to the Magic by 5, and they were really, really upset about that one. They knew they should have went and got that one to help their chances of getting home court. I do think it's the Celtics. They got the tiebreaker right now, the head-to-head. We know we got this big game on Friday. And they also have the second tiebreaker, which is like your conference record. They're 1 game up on the Pacers in that category as well if it comes down to that. So I think the Celtics eke it out, but it's sort of like the playoffs in a way start between these 2 teams. Again, like you were saying, like this week. We're getting, in a weird way, game 1 or game 0.5 of this series. So it should be exciting. Yeah, Trey, what's the answer? Celtics or Pacers?
I got the Celtics. I think they're in mid-flipping of the switch. They're turning that dimmer up. But moving on, after nearly 3 seasons at the helm, the Brooklyn Nets have seen enough from Kenny Atkinson to know that they want him sticking around, which is why the team is signing their head coach to a contract extension. It's a timely move considering they're going to be going head-to-head with the Knicks during free agency this summer. Guys, which is the more attractive New York team, the Knicks or the Nets? What do you have?
More attractive. Who's sexier?
More attractive. Oh, Kenny Atkinson. I love the way he dresses. Yeah. That's a sharp black tie. He always goes black and white.
You think it's the Nets because you've been talking about it for a while.
I know it sounds a little wild to say that situation is a little bit more attractive than the New York Knicks situation, but everything about it, the environment, the ecosystem from top all the way down, including Kenny Atkinson.
Hold on. The environment? What do you mean?
The environment
at MSG and the fans is still, that's a plus for the Knicks, not the Nets. Sorry.
Well, the environment, I just mean the basketball playing environment.
Stability.
The situation, everything about it. Yeah, maybe not the Madison Square Garden faithful versus the Brooklyn faithful. Yeah. That is the one thing they have going for them, the lore. But I think guys look at the example of Paul George going to a smaller market team. even though Brooklyn's a huge market, but going to a market that's not New York or LA, thriving, liking it, knowing you can still be a superstar, even if it's not New York or Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Knicks haven't really been an attractive environment for a long time because they haven't been winning. There's been a lot of firing of coaches and movement of general managers, and obviously the Phil Jackson era just didn't end well. And I think what Sean Marks has really done there in Brooklyn has made that team just a little bit more respectable. And with the Knicks, I mean, things could always change, of course, with Zion Williamson.
Or maybe Kevin Durant
Or
coming.
Kevin Durant, of course. But
That's why I go Knicks.
but the chances of them getting one of those big names, given their history, I think it's pretty slim. Even though they made the move to get rid of Porzingis and open up that cap space, I still think it's unlikely they get one of those huge names. I think they get a tier 2 name instead.
Couple Nets here. I'm going with the Knicks still, but what's your answer, Trey?
Everything basketball-wise points towards the Nets. But the Knicks are still the Knicks. You got to see a game in Madison Square Garden, or so I've heard.
That's amazing. All right, we got lots still to come on the show tonight. When we come back, the Wizards fired Ernie Grunfeld. We'll talk about that. And could we see Zion in China this summer on Team USA? Don't go anywhere.
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Get your thumbs out. We're into the up-down report. First one, guys. According to Mark Stein, USA Basketball has interest in adding Zion Williamson to their 12-man roster for the 2019 FIBA World Cup in China. The two sides have yet to have formal discussions, as Zion does not even have NBA representation. He doesn't have an NBA agent. But guys, are you up or down on the possibility of Zion playing for the FIBA World Cup?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Give me
baby.
that.
Lot
In
of
fact,
thumbs.
I'm so up.
What?
I even want another one up.
Wow!
Yeah.
Double up!
Double up.
You love it.
Yeah, because there was a big blow yesterday when LeBron James came out and said that he's not going to the World Cup, which means he's not going to Australia. Zion is the next big thing. It would be great if he goes to the World Cup because then he would also go to Australia. Now, he probably wouldn't play all that much, but it'd just be great to have the big man out there.
You're talking about Team USA having a couple friendlies in
Yes.
Australia before they head to China.
In Melbourne, that's
Yes.
right, yes. Friendlies is the name because they don't count for anything, but I tell you, that atmosphere at Marvel Arena in Melbourne wouldn't be anything but friendly. It would be hostile. It'd be great. So,
Like
yes,
you're trying
go
to
and
get
do it.
sent to Australia to work those games. Maybe you'll be there.
He's keeping those thumbs
maybe,
up.
yeah. Let's do it, Zion.
Team USA doesn't always send the #1 players to the World Cup. This is why a guy like LeBron wouldn't play in the 2019, but he would maybe come back for the 2020 Olympics. With that being the case, I think this is the perfect first taste for Zion to get a taste of Team USA. A lot of guys credit Team USA with teaching them practice habits, how to be better pros. What better way than to start playing with NBA players before your NBA career even begins? There's precedent too. Trajan Langdon, Christian Laettner, Brad Miller, Jay Williams, Anthony Davis all played for Team USA before they made it to the NBA.
Yeah, I think LeBron's dodging Team Australia, to be honest. That's why
Yeah,
he's
I'm sure that's He's got a movie to film, man.
Yeah, nice excuse, convenient.
And he's going to be with them for several weeks. Isn't
Yeah.
that right, Lee? Probably 6?
Well, yeah.
That's a lot of weeks to be with
Yeah.
the people who are the best at their jobs
Yeah.
in the world. Your first trip into the professional world, most likely. The mentorship, that's amazing. For 6 weeks, whether it's 5, 6 weeks, that is wild.
And I'd love to see Zion dunk on a boomer, for sure. They can Photoshop my head on Zion, and you put your head on the boomer he dunks on.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Australia are playing Canada in a couple of warm-ups
Oh,
too.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. All right, so
Pack
we're
of
all
Tim
thumbs
Tams
up on
those.
that. That's a no-brainer. All right, next one here, guys. Big news, actually, out of D.C. today. The Washington Wizards have fired longtime GM Ernie Grunfeld. Grunfeld, who had been with the team since 2003, was informed of the decision by Wizards owner Ted Leonsis. The team says they will begin a new search for a new head of basketball operations after this season. Guys, are you up or down on the Wizards? Finally, maybe firing GM Ernie Grunfeld. He stuck around for a while.
You never want to celebrate somebody being fired from their job. but
Wizards fans are.
Yeah, they are. They
That's
are.
why you only have one thumb for this one?
That's right, yeah. But I think it was time to move on. He'd been there a long time. And the Wizards had some good picks. Obviously, Beal and Wall, the two best ones, but they just hadn't made any progress. Look, an injury to John Wall's hand a few years ago may have changed things. They may have made the conference finals. It didn't happen. But I think it's just time for a fresh voice and a change there, really.
Yeah, playoffs 8 times in 16 seasons under Grunfeld's tenure. They only won 4 series then. That kind of long, sustained, not getting over the hump, not really even getting to the hump, I think is the problem.
That's a lot of years that he's been in that position. 16 years, a lot of different tenures, a lot of different locker rooms there. The Gilbert Arenas locker room, the JaVale McGee locker room, onto the Wall and Beal. They've just had so many shots Grunfeld has been employed since Grunwald was a Toronto Raptors GM. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, never won 50 games in a season,
Yeah.
which is still crazy. Never obviously got to the conference finals and he did have some smart moves over 16 years. I guess you're going to hit one or two every once in a while, but he had some rough ones too. And the one that sticks out still is when they traded the number 5 pick for Randy Foye and Mike Miller. And that was in 2009, when you could have had a chance at a guy like Steph Curry in that draft or something like that. That one really hurts. It was a bunch of this sort of, and I think honestly, in Grunfeld's defense, a lot of this is probably coming down from the top a lot of the time of like this sort of quick fix. Let's get in there. Let's try and win a playoff series. Even to this year, we had heard Ted Leonsis and the Wizards management talking that up. And it's like, you're sometimes just doing what your boss above you tells you to do. And so you're sort of put in a tough situation.
Yeah, and you mentioned Wizards fans probably pretty happy with this move. When is the last time that arena has been buzzing? I have watched basketball games on my television screen for a long time. I can't remember a decent atmosphere coming through my speakers. It just feels like it's been a long time since people have been pumped for Wizards basketball.
Probably the last time they beat the Raptors in the playoffs.
Maybe that series with LeBron a million years ago when it was like Soulja Boy was showing up and having songs about LeBron. Remember that? That was a big time for the Wizards, and that was a decade ago.
That's right.
All right. Brendan Haywood laying the wood. Right.
Final one, guys. This one's a weird one. The cameras caught a fun little moment between Knicks rookie Mitchell Robinson and center DeAndre Jordan last night. The two of them are irritating each other by grabbing a little leg there, a little, lower thigh action. So are you guys up or down on rubbing your friend's leg? I gotta know what
Everyone's a little hesitant.
Yeah,
Trey's
sure,
up.
why not?
I'm super up on rubbing a leg, especially if it's my mate Lee's leg, as we saw on Friday. Got my fingers into his very hairy shins. But rubbing a friend's leg is no different than rubbing a friend's shoulder. It's just hairier.
Just showing off the calf there. A little
Look,
flex.
You've got very soft hands, I will say too, Trey.
Thank you very
caressed
much.
it too. You didn't go in there with a big hard scruff either, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, no problem. Gotcha, buddy.
But, you don't want someone to go in there and start going like that and really fizzing all the
Keep
hair
it
up.
gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
get
was
some
like
knots in those there.
Thumbs up or thumbs down on rubbing your friend's leg? Let us know on Twitter. I can't wait to see those responses. When we come back, I got a fun top 5 for you. The best foreign-born/grown NBA rookies. Back in a second. Today, the NBA celebrates World Autism Awareness Day and its commitment to promoting equality and inclusion for all fans. To learn more, visit NBAcares.com.
Welcome back to the show. The Rookie of the Year race has heated up over the last month with Atlanta's Trae Young coming on strong, 25 points per game since the All-Star break. Woo, he is hot. But recently, there's been an odd movement in NBA circles rallying against Luka Doncic winning ROI because he played professionally in Europe before being drafted. He's played against men. Well, of course he's better than American rookies. Why hasn't this theory been pushed before? Well, because it wasn't necessary. It's hard to pull off. There's only been one player who didn't play college or go to high school in the U.S. to win Rookie of the Year. That's Pau Gasol in 2002. Just one in the history of the NBA, and that was 17 years ago. Many players have tried to do what Luka's doing and failed, especially considering Luka has played most of this season as a 19-year-old. Here are the top 5 foreign-born, foreign-grown players that show how hard it is to win ROI. At number 5, it's Manu Ginobili. Played 7 years professionally abroad in 2 different countries. The man was worldly. He entered the league at 25. That's a player's prime. And he didn't win ROI.
At number 4, Hall of Famer Yao Ming. He played 5 years professionally abroad and entered the league at 22. He was 7'6". He was a beast. He must have won Rookie of the Year, right? No. That award went to straight out of high schooler Amari Stoudemire.
At number 3, it's Dirk Nowitzki. He played 4 seasons abroad. Came over at 20 years old in the lockout shortened season. He would dominate a 50-game schedule after playing long seasons with men, right? No, he actually contemplated going back home after his rookie season. That looks like Jack Sikma right there.
At number 2, another Hall of Famer, Arvydas Sabonis. This guy was an old NBA rookie. We're talking Lee Ellis old here. Sabonis played 14 seasons professionally in Europe before joining the Blazers. They drafted him in '86, and he didn't make his way stateside until 1995. But he must have won Rookie of the Year that year, right?
Right.
No. he lost to Mighty Mouse Damon Stoudemire.
And at number 1, it's Ricky Rubio. He was drafted in 2009 after playing 4 years professionally, exactly like Luka Doncic. Decided to play for another 2 years abroad, also in the Spanish league. Like Doncic, he went out and won a ton of awards in Spain, like Doncic. After 6 years professionally at 21 years old, Rubio came over and didn't win ROI. He lost to Kyrie Irving. It's tough, and this list definitively proves it's very, very hard.
And we are going to award our Rookie of the Year at the 6th Annual Starters Award Show, The Starties, on April 11th at 6 p.m. Eastern, hosted once again by Kristen Ledlow. Who will get Rookie of the Year? Is it going to be Luka? Is it going to be Trey? How much will be debated? When we come back, though, no debating this, because he's the only one that picks it. It's Lely's very solid play.
It picks me, bro.
Oh, right. I mentioned it earlier in the show. TNT doubleheader tonight, players only doubleheader. Lakers Thunder followed by the Nuggets and Warriors, chasing that number 1 seed in the West. Should be good. All right, we asked you, what's your favorite extravagant NBA purchase? You hit us up on Twitter, #starters, got some answers.
All classics. Jared says probably a necessity, but Shaq's legendary Superman bed as seen on MTV Crib. That thing was humongous. Also good. Sam with Rasheed Wallace getting all the Pistons WWE Championship belts. Loved it, but the best answer, no doubt, comes from Emil, who says Deshaun Stevenson having an ATM machine in his own house. Was this an extravagant purchase? We wouldn't know. How do these things work?
He's making money off
Who
that.
pays for the ATM?
Crazy. All right. Just a reminder, Trey will be paying off his second pick'em loss of the season because he lost the month of March. Later this week, maybe early next week, obviously not a ton of time before the playoffs start, but Trey will be paying it off. We're going to hold it to him. All right, Lely, VSP, man.
We are going to Minnesota for just a lovely one here from the Portland Trailblazers. Dame Lillard to Cantor. Now you think this is probably a laser. Look, he's going to lay it up. No, it keeps going. Bounce pass over to the Chief, who knocked down the swish bomb. That's what I call a very solid play.
Very solid. Now it's time for the highlight that wasn't. Just because a play didn't count doesn't mean it wasn't fantastic. Donovan Mitchell, watch him catch the alley-oop here.
Too easy.
Butter.
That was smooth.
Former slam dunk contest winner, showing why he won.
He says he's going to go back in this thing, too.
Nice.
Down the road, so that's exciting. Also exciting, we had a Tuesday drop podcast for you. Had a blast on this one. Go download, listen to that wherever you subscribe to the Starters podcast. All right, fan signs.
This has been, the Starters are great because they have 2 Canadians. Bring the Grizzlies back to Vancouver. Quite a lot in that one there. Great job here. And this is Jan. They wanted to see Dragic versus... I forgot who it is.
Crazy night, people. You had one job, man.
Who is it?
What?
What is the 2 Slovenian stars?
Did you write that?
Yeah, yeah. Tricky.